keeping up with the Commodore, 'cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.
The Commodore 64, now in a home family pack. A family pack containing the world's #1 selling home computer.
The Rocky Horror Show is a musical with music, lyrics and book by Richard O'Brien. A humorous tribute to the science fiction and horror B-movies of the 1930s through to the early 1960s. The musical tells the story of a newly engaged couple getting caught in a storm and coming to the home of a mad transvestite scientist, Dr. Frankenfurter, unveiling his new creation, Rocky, a sort of Frankenstein-style monster, in the form of an artificially made, fully grown, physically perfect muscle man, complete with blonde hair and a tan. If you're one of the last people left on Earth who knows nothing of the Rocky Horror Show film or stage play, then you might be forgiven for not knowing what the hell is going on. Good, middle-class American youngsters, Janet and Brad, through some mechanical defect in their car, end up in this weird house for the night, owned by Dr. Frankenfurter, and one of them gets turned to stone. Well, it's a long story. Perhaps you should see the film after all. You choose to play as either Brad or Janet, and depending on which you choose, it will be the other that gets turned to stone by the wicked Frankenfurter and his dreaded Medusa machine. You play as the remaining character and must do the rescuing. The task is simple. Guide the rescuer around the house and find the pieces of the De-Medusa and put it back together. Then you can wipe the rather stony smile from your partner's face and run like the blazes. Of course, finding the pieces isn't easy. You need to look for them, and that means opening locked doors, which in turn means finding the keys first. Not just any old keys either, the correct keys for the door. While you are lurching around this rather attractive period dwelling, you are going to be chased by quite a few people who would rather you didn't, and they have some pretty mean ways of expressing their preferences, like killing you. Some of the film's obscure scenarios enters into the game's flavour, in the way that these extraordinary characters will come up and say things like, "I didn't like my teddy," or "It's just a jump to the left." These remarks are capable of moving Brad or Janet into a state of total confusion, and after a few more from the right sort of person, that confusion moves up a grade to total death. So avoid getting near these strange enemies wherever possible. The De-Medusa is made up of 15 separate bits, which must be collected piece by piece and deposited in the chamber next to your stiff friend. At the start of each game, you find that the characters and the vital pieces have been left in random locations around the house. Some rooms have more than a mere lock to get past, whereas the worst being a strange electric beam, which removes your one and only life should you get too close. Fortunately, however, it can be turned off temporarily. Your other problems move around on their own. They are the characters from the show, and each of them will have a lasting effect on you. The butler, Riff Raff for example, is nuts. He wanders round all day long complaining that nobody loves him, while at the same time he tries to zap you with his Riff laser gun. One of the girls, Columbia, simply strips you naked when you bump into her, which was one of the most random things to happen in a game for me back when I was a kid, but always got a chuckle. Eddie is a chap, Thingy, who is particularly unpleasant. He was one of Frank's failed experiments. Fortunately, he spends most of his time in the freezer. Unfortunately, the freezer doesn't work that well, and the thermometer lets you know when he's on the thaw. Oh, and one last point. The whole house is a spaceship. Yes, it is difficult to believe, but there you are. From your arrival, you have 99 time periods to rescue your mate and then run for it. Otherwise, by then, you see, Frank will have grown tired of your feeble efforts and left for home. Apparently, Frank is the guy from outer space, and he wears the wrong clothes. Well, that seems to explain some of his madness on the show. It's a shame that most of the stuff that featured in the ZX Spectrum version isn't present. the humorous title screen which shows the time warp dance from the original show and really got you in the mood for the game. And for those who need reminding of how that song begins,
it's just a jump to the left.
In summary then, the idea of the game is quite simple really, although a little long-winded, as you seem to have to move through the same location several times. This gives the effect of the game being much bigger than it actually is. Some puzzles are a little tricky to solve at first, but become apparent through the game. It's a shame then that CRL didn't exploit the film's computer game potential and instead came up with a simple collect and place game, but overall it's a playable game. However, its lasting appeal is short, because I don't think it will take too long to solve once you get going. A completely reworked version was released by CRL in 1986 for the Commodore 128, with improved graphics, more detailed characters and more colourful backgrounds, and new locations, which is probably my favourite version of this game if you're wanting to check it out. Also, there was a USA released NTSC to PAL fix version which seems much more colourful without the music stutter. I do prefer the old one though, the wall paintings seemed much more refined. Anyway guys, that was Rocky Horror Show, and a massive thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if so, hit that like button and share your experiences with this game in the comments section. As always, if you're enjoying the nostalgia, then a quick reminder not to forget to hit subscribe and join the channel. Then buckle up with me on this epic trip down memory lane. For now though, you'll have to excuse me. I'm just off to do the time warp again. Until the next video.
So, come up to the lab and see what's on the slab. I see you shiver with anticipation.
Bye for now.
Are you